I'm just saying, if you want to show how super advanced your society is, keeping the monarchy by fight to the death part is a weird choice.
That's true. Solid point. Okay, but the lady with the wig?
So good, yeah. Right? With the car?
Yeah, that's good.
Guys, don't go in there.
Oh, no, take it easy. What's going on?
Okay, you know how Eli always opens our show with wacky shenanigans in the studio related to the topic of the week?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just in the middle of the intro pop culture thing we do before the door opens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, side note, I do the shenanigans sometimes too. It's me,
Right,
sometimes.
right. But it really originates with Eli most of the time.
Guys, that is not
That's
the
fair.
point.
That's actually true.
This
Yeah.
week's show is about the Great Stink. It's about a literal river of shit.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
My studio. I can't.
Cecil, just let it go, bro.
Just.
Yeah, I'm out of here. I'm taking off.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm going to leave. No, it's better if I go.
You guys gonna open the door? Guys? Well, now I'm covered in shit for no reason.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts. Because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli, and I'll be piloting this spaceship where no inclusionary pronoun has ever gone before, but I can't fly this ship alone. First up, someone who drinks enough scotch to be nicknamed Scotty, and our resident Klingon, Heath, and Tom.
And now we know how Eli got his rapper name, Young Jizzy.
That's crazy, Eli. I have far too much money to be brown in any universe. It's not possible.
And also joining us tonight, someone who would Vulcan-splain to Spock, and our number 2, Noah and Cecil.
Okay, to be fair, Eli, even when you know what you're doing, you manage to look like you don't. I always feel like I have to explain how to wipe, etc.
You only say that because of the beard. The beard filled with poop.
I get it.
Number 2.
Now, before we begin today's show, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. Hey, patrons. Without you, there would be no 5-year mission to explore strange new Wikipedia entries, to seek out new topics that the dollop has already covered. You're the dilithium crystals in our warp drive. If you're not a patron and would like to be, stick around till the end of the show and we'll tell you how. Or, if you're about to be assimilated into the Borg, give it a second, because that would be like a ton of new pledges and we could really use the money. Just to suggest it to the group at the meeting or whatever they do. And with that out of the way, tell us, Noah, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Well, thanks to patron Donovan, we're going to be talking about the creation of the modern London sewer system and the Great Stink. So congratulations, Donovan. This is what you brought into the world. This is what you shall be remembered for. Oh, God. The River is Shit episode. Go Donovan.
And Cecil, you tackled this public works project. Are you ready to flood us with your knowledge of poop?
I am ready to get to the heart of the fecal matter.
Nice.
Oh, so Cecil, tell us, what was the Great Stink?
All right, so setting the stage here, the city of London had a problem. They had a whole bunch of people, but a terrible system of getting rid of the human waste.
Yeah, weird use of the past tense, but okay.
That's fair. The population of London in the first half of the 19th century went from 1 million to 3 million. They also had a cobbled together series of sewers, but no real sewer system. The city also had 200,000 cesspits that were collecting human waste. A cesspit is like a septic tank without any mechanism to process the waste. It's like a holding tank for poop.
Yeah, it's a shithole country. That's what you're saying. That's why you don't make new countries with British immigrants. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, everybody knows you just find an existing country and call it part of Britain. Works out great for everybody, every time.
I'm confused. I thought those pits were just British restaurants. Is that
Each one's rated. So the poop pits would sometimes explode because mammal digestion results in farts you can light. So Londoners also at this point in history started getting water from iron pipes and not the wood pipes that they had used for centuries. And they started installing flushies too. Also, there was no environment agency back then, so companies just ran all the wastewater from their operations right into the sewer as well.
Yeah, like nowadays they have to do that with an environment agency. It's a totally different thing.
So as you can imagine, all that waste had to go somewhere, and it wound up mostly going into the Thames.
Okay, sorry. I stopped listening after you said giant pools of shit would explode sometimes. Is that real? Did they explode?
Yeah.
Cecil?
Yes, they blew it up.
They exploded.
Yep.
Wow. That's a great excuse for some fetish people. Like, you walk into work all covered in shit. Just like, hey, buddy, what happened? Just a cesspool explosion? What? Yes. Again. Yup. Crazy. Cesspool blew up.
Okay.
Keeps happening.
Blowing up my spot. Not cool.
Yeah.
Okay, again, having eaten the food in Britain, I'm going to go ahead and say that exploding with shit is pretty par for the course. That's to be expected.
That's a menu item. Yeah.
It's an inevitable conclusion at the very least.
Well, they put beans on every fucking thing. Yeah.
Oh, I miss it. I miss it so much. Marsh is so smart talking about science. Anyway, sorry. So, sizzle for Rizzle. I'm guessing the Thames wasn't very pleasant at this point.
The Thames at this time was a fucking horror show.
Can you give me that on a scale from 1 to Trump administration?
Like when Scaramouche took over as communication advisor. Like right around then.
That's bad. That's not good.
Michael Faraday, the scientist, conducted an experiment and then sent a letter to the editor of the Times. Quote, "The appearance and smell of the water forced themselves at once on my attention. The whole of the river was an opaque, pale brown fluid. In order to test the degree of opacity, I tore up some white cards into pieces and then moistened them so as to make them sink easily below the surface, and then dropped some of these pieces into the water at every pier the boat came to. Before they had sunk an inch below the surface, they were indistinguishable. Though the sun shone brightly at the time, when the pieces fell edgeways, the lower part was hidden from sight before the upper part was underwater."
It's an
This is so interesting. I never knew Faraday was into shit play. I liked him so much already.
Wow. Just the fact that pieces of paper would stick in the river edgeways, like chips in guac, not a great sign. We kept doing the experiment, but feel like it was done right after that.
It's like tortilla chips and soft serve, just right in there,
right. Like I feel like I'm missing something. Like the river is that bad, and you have to run a scientific test. Is this not self-evident? Like, was there some group in the river just splashing around? Like, come on in, the shit water's fine. Like, who are we convincing?
So Faraday in his letter remarks that, quote, "The smell was very bad and common to the whole of the water. It was the same as that which now comes up from the gully holes in the streets. The whole river was for the time a real sewer," end quote. And the smell was so horrendous that the city poured chalk lime, which is basically bleaching powder, into the river to combat the odor.
Just a bunch of fancy British ladies carrying around a nosegay of hot garbage. Cool. I have soy fondue. You want to make a quick trade? Let's see how mine is.
I try to take you somewhere nice for our mandate in the city, and this is my reward. You did bad nothing.
You took me to a place that was called a vegetable bar. I walked to the front door. It says a vegetable bar.
We had a dessert tasting. It was lovely. So tell me.
The dessert was made of dust. I did lines of dessert with you. It was
It was
delightful.
a little dusty. It was a little dusty. That's on me. It was slightly dusty. So tell me, seashells she sells by the seashore? Did it just smell bad? Or were there other problems?
Several years before, there were cholera outbreaks. In 1831, 6,300 people died. In 1848, 14,000 people perished. And in 1853, almost 11,000 people died. There was a theory at the time of the first outbreak that the disease was caused by a miasma, or contaminated air.
Yeah. And you know how they combated miasma back then? With even fouler smelling air. That's what they thought worked. So it was like the Axe body spray, but as a public health initiative.
I gotta say, I kind of love this. It's like you get cholera from getting shit in the water, and that in turn makes you shit until you die. And I know that's the actual mechanism for contagion, but It's sort of like being mauled to death by your own guard dog. If your guard dog was made of shit and named Mr. Stinky.
Heath would still pet it.
Yeah.
Come on, Mr. Stinky. Can I say hi?
Oh, it's a great dog.
It is a great dog. Don't be an asshole.
In 1844, the government created the Building Act that said that no new buildings could just use cesspits. They had to be connected to the sewer. And because the prevailing theory of the day was that miasma called illness, they flushed the sewers into the Thames regularly.
Yeah, and it's not just smell, it's other senses. The sound of shitting causes illnesses too. So they built shit mufflers. It was a fun invention, but also did not help because that's a stupid idea.
I'm literally searching for these on Amazon right now.
I don't know that it's a stupid idea.
Why is Shark Tank is calling us? Patreon is going through the roof. We're fine.
During the second outbreak, a physician and warden of the North, John Snow, recognized the pattern of deaths and concluded it was a waterborne illness caused by sewage. But it doesn't sound like anyone fucking paid attention to that guy.
You know nothing, Jon Snow, they said.
They still didn't have to stab him, though. That was a little harsh.
Okay, they didn't have to. No, but they got to. Yeah. So that's different.
Also, in the 1840s, the city started redesigning the sewer system. The chief engineer was Frank Foster, but the job must have been pretty hard. And this is a quote from Wikipedia. Quote, "The stress of his position was too much for Foster and he died in 1852. End quote.
See, that's why you need a squatty potty, people. It's really just smooths it all.
Died from stooleremia, a.k.a. the brown plague. Shit pun.
That's a lot of pressure. Best to just relax a little, eat some vegetables. Saves everyone the straining. It's fine. No need to die.
Squatty potty, man. It falls out of you like an Italian woman's baby. It's amazing. It's just...
She's waving her hands at her husband, telling her she had another one. All right. So his assistant enters the story here. A guy by the name of Joseph Bazalgette. He's promoted to chief engineer of the sewer system at that point. His plans call for smaller sewers to connect to the neighborhoods, which connect to much larger outflow pipes. These pipes would then transport the sewage to the east part of the city.
Oh, let me guess. The east part, that's probably where the rich people live.
So when he submitted the plans, they're rejected because the wastewater wasn't pumped out of the city. So the plans were resubmitted, and the new discharge points were 15 miles farther than the original plan. This had also bumped up the cost significantly from 2.4 million pounds to 5.4 million pounds. And in today's money, that would have been 200 million and 450 million pounds, respectively.
Okay. Coincidentally, 450 million pounds is also the perceived weight of a single shit taken after an English breakfast. So, makes sense.
That toast will get you. So was the Great Stink just the river?
No, we haven't actually got to the Great Stink part yet. Let's take a break. And when we come back, I'll explain how this really nasty, dirty sewer pit that was the Thames became the Great Stink.
I say, Rantleberry.
Oh, yes, sir.
This cholera's taken the better class right by the...
Pardon me, sir. You have some feces on your brow, sir.
Oh, do I?
Ah, yes, sir. It's right there.
Ah, yes, I walked by the river for a bit today. Anyways, this cholera has taken the better class under the capital W, has it not?
Oh, indeed, sir, it has.
What do you think could be the cause of it?
Pardon me, sir. Your shoes, sir. I'm sorry, but your shoes.
Oh, yes, sorry. Stepped into the street for a bit. Do you mind wiping those off with this cloth you carry around with you at all times and often touch your face with?
Oh, of course, sir. No problem.
Okay. Oh, is that my tea?
It is, sir.
Ooh, and you've put a biscuit in it.
I have not, sir.
Oh. Anyway, about this cholera.
A mystery of the highest order, sir.
Indeed. And we're back. When last we left London, it was full of shit. Cecil, how else was London like me?
They drive on the wrong side of the road.
So in July of 1857, the plans were presented to the higher-ups. A new government is elected, and Bazalgette gets a new boss in February of the next year. Lord John Manners.
Oh my God, a British guy named Lord Manners. Are you fucking nose full of shit? Huh?
It sounds like there was not a huge rush to get this work done.
Insufficient fiber, probably.
As most people weren't actually blaming the cholera deaths on contaminated drinking water. So even though the Thames looked really gross and smelled pretty bad, it wasn't enough to act.
There's no evidence that the river full of shit is caused by humans. Moving on.
Jim Imhoff's great grandfather throws a piece of shit at someone in Parliament. See? See? What am I proving?
Well, so they didn't act until June. That June was unseasonably hot. Temperatures in the shade were an average of 35 Celsius, which is about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the direct sunlight, it was 48 Celsius or 118 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
This happened to coincide with less rain, so the Thames water level started to drop. And as the water evaporated, it basically made a shit slurry consomme.
Okay, that's what Heath called my vegan fondue. I'm still healing, Cecil, okay? So maybe you stay away.
Very
from that
accurate.
language.
All right, Eli, for the last time, you cannot invite us over for dinner and not serve us a single dead animal. That is how you lose pugs. Yeah. You want to lose another pug?
Okay, Cecil. So the vaporized shit was literally hitting the fans. I'm assuming the entire city has violent pink eye at this point.
Yeah, brown eye. Yeah. So Charles Dickens wrote that the Thames was quote, deadly sewer in place of a fine, fresh river, end quote. He added, quote, I can certify that the offensive smells, even in that short whiff, have been of a most head and stomach distending nature, end quote. And journalist George Godwin said, quote, the whole of this is thickly impregnated with impure matter, end quote.
I'm sorry. The sole silver lining of this story to me is listening to all the ways these Victorian gentlemen found to say this city smells like shit, but with propriety. It's amazing. I say, good sir, it's impregnated with impure matter. Fuck you.
So, Cecil, it's a little hard to believe they still weren't interested in doing anything about it. What changed? Did, big shit run out of money to buy politicians? What happened?
Well, Eli, rich people got mad. Just so happens that the royalty at the time, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, decided to take a pleasure cruise on this open sewer pipe at the height of the drought. That cruise lasted minutes.
Okay, we forgot to bring paddles for a literal Schitt's Creek. This is actually pretty funny. You gotta admit. If we had paddle, it would be a little bit faster.
Oh, wait. Please tell me this is another two-parter where Tom's going to tell us next week about their trip back from the shit flow.
You don't want to hear about what they had to eat to survive. Spoiler, it's poo.
Yeah.
They had to eat poo. It was
Penguin poo.
Keister seals.
This is where the press starts calling the whole debacle the Great Stink. One reporter called the Thames a pestiferous and typhus breeding abomination.
Okay, were you at dinner with Heath and I? Because you were invited. You could have just come to our table. You heard everything he said.
An article in Illustrated London News said, quote, we can colonize the remotest ends of the earth. We can conquer India. We can pay the interest of the most enormous debt ever contracted. We can spread our name and our fame and our fructifying wealth to every part of the world, but we cannot clean the River Thames.
I love that their version of "We Put a Man on the Moon" was just a list of a best of list of imperial racism or something.
Okay, all right, easy to judge, Noah. Where's your list of imperial racist colonialism? No, quiet. That's what I thought. Yeah. None.
I mean, that's why he has Heath and I.
I colonized a tropical nation once at camp. You don't know it.
It's by Niagara Falls. You would know it. Yeah. So at this point, Parliament is forced. This is great. This is fucking great.
I love this.
At this point, Parliament is forced to close the curtains on the riverside of the building. And I might add, the curtains were soaked in that bleaching powder I mentioned earlier. Totally not helping, by the way. And not helping in a way that they considered moving temporarily.
Okay, guys, so you know how when you take a shit on your floor, you cover it with a towel, it's no problem? These curtains are basically giant shit towels.
Yeah, like I don't think that not being able to see the shit is gonna fix the smell problem. That's not how senses work.
The guy who took over as Bazalgette's boss, Lord Manners, is getting shit on at this point by a bunch of lawmakers.
And how are they dumping on him, Cecil?
Most of the people are asking him similar questions, but this one asked by a member of parliament there really frames it well. Quote, by a perverse ingenuity, one of the noblest rivers has been changed into a cesspool, and I wish to ask whether Her Majesty's government intend to take any steps to remedy this evil. His typical response to questions of this nature was, quote, Her Majesty's government has nothing whatever to do with the state of the Thames.
What, they didn't shit?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like she's just the fucking queen's out there. Fake news. She's just got Sean Spicer on a boogie board by the Thames, forced to smile.
Obviously, they should just let the invisible hand guide the market to fix the problem, right? The invisible left hand in many countries.
So they were dumping that lime all over the river where the sewers had fed into it, as much as 1,500 pounds worth a week, which is something like 130,000 pounds in today's currency. The government that sat on these plans for a year then passed a bill to go forward with Bazalgette's sewer system.
What were they waiting on during that year? An entire year? Like, okay, let's see how this river of shit plays out. Okay, badly. This is a bad year. I see that now. We're going to do the sewer thing. Yeah.
At least we tried.
Exactly. Thank you. Positive. Yep.
This plan was extensive. It called for 1,100 miles of additional sewers and 82 miles of interconnecting sewers. It took 400 draftsmen to complete the plans. Bazalgette, as you can imagine, was pretty anal.
That's weird. I wouldn't describe anal as pretty necessarily, but it's not so much a visual thing all the time.
That's true. And he actually set up some standards with the construction and selection of materials. He set up a testing process for concrete that gave feedback to the manufacturers. And the Metropolitan Board of Works, the branch of government he worked for, was the first governmental body to do this sort of thing.
Sounds like he really knew his shit. Yeah.
Terrible.
So the project was over budget because of the construction costs.
Yeah, it's an embarrassing case of the overruns. Cost
I'll leave it to the
overruns.
pros.
Let me give you the wiki article's description of the two major buildings that had to be put up to handle the pumping of the sewers. They describe Crossness Pumping Station as, quote, a building in a Romanesque style, and the interior contains architectural cast ironwork, end quote. And if you look at the picture of this place, it looks like a hotel lobby and not a fucking Super 8 either.
Yeah, the Shit's Carlton, I believe they called it.
Okay, I gotta say, like, for this one, it made me look up hotel slogans, and you'd actually be surprised at how many are fitting for this project. But in particularly, I rather like the slogan for the Ramada: "You do your thing, leave the rest to us."
Yeah. Howard Johnson's is "Go happy, go Hojo, go anywhere."
That's the problem they were trying to fix.
I've never heard of Jackson Hole Resorts, but their slogan is "Get further away."
I'm a big fan of Bidets Inn. Eat, spray, love.
Gross.
I said bidet. Bidet. I don't think you guys heard.
The other building, Abbey Mills Pumping Station, is described thusly, quote, above the center of the engine house was an ornate dome that gives the building a superficial resemblance to a Byzantine church, end quote. I think I kind of found where you might have went over budget.
Yeah, right.
The outhouse of worship. Yeah, that was expensive.
This is really your wheelhouse, Heath. I'm proud of you. It's good to watch you soar.
No, that's awesome. That's my entire
To watch you
contribution.
soar.
I'm glad you're highlighting it.
Well, I got to say, though, if they were pumping tons of shit through this thing, the resemblance to a church was more than superficial.
Oh, really? Because did the giant shit dome also rape kids? Because if not, the shit dome is still better than the church. Just,
I didn't say it wasn't better.
It's true.
Definitely better.
Demonstrably
it
better.
processes shit. It does something.
It took 15 years to complete the sewer system. The public works project was absolutely massive. They used 318 million bricks and 880,000 cubic yards of concrete and mortar. When it was all said and done, the project cost 6.5 million pounds or 535 million pounds in today's currency.
Jesus.
Bazalgette was knighted in 1874.
Aw. So is that the end of the story?
In 1866, there was another cholera outbreak. And this one took place in an area of London that was not connected to the under construction sewer system. They traced the cause of the epidemic to sewage that was discharged too close to a reservoir. It was this that caused the people to reject that it was spread by miasma, and the Lancet stated that it was water supply contamination that caused cholera. There has not been another outbreak of cholera in London since.
And if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
Londoners take shit really seriously. I'm ready for the quiz, by the way. You don't have to ask. I'm just ready.
Oh.
I'm just ready. You don't have to ask.
And are you ready for the quiz?
I am totally ready.
He's
I
been
was
holding
ready.
it in all episode.
I was ready
He's gotta
before
go.
you asked, it turns out. So,
All right, Cecil. What's amazing about this story is that it had to get as bad as it did before anyone thought to take this problem seriously and make it a priority. So what were Londoners preoccupied with at the time? A, mummy unrolling. B, corset tightening. C, fasting as sport. D, seances. Or E, anthropomorphic taxidermy.
Jesus.
It's F. All of these are real things the Victorian era people did for fun instead of fixing their river full of shit.
Wait, was mummy unrolling like bocce ball? You just try to roll it at the others, and as you pull,
I just feel like it was just you're trying to get it to spin as fast as you can or
yeah,
something.
right? It's like a dreidel.
It's like a lathe. I made a table leg out of that one.
Side note, never play bocce ball with Heath. He takes it super seriously. It is not fun. He just spikes that thing at
All
you.
right, so considering that our last two episodes have now been about a corpse fucker and a 2 trillion gallon shit luge, what's the most likely topic for next week's show? A, ball fungus. B, that thing Eli keeps asking if he should have frozen off.
Yes, by the way.
Should I?
It's always yes.
You have to tell me. Show me your deck.
Yeah. It's called cool sculpting. Look into it. And there's your love handles. Yeah. So
Is it C, vegan fondue, or D, God's Not Dead 3, A Light in the Darkness?
I'm going to say D because I really want to do D.
Oh, you got to go over to God Awful Movies, which it's out now by the time this episode comes out.
All right. What was the biggest obstacle in getting Parliament to fund a solution to the Great Stink problem? Was it A, legislative gridlock by conservatives, or neoconstipation?
Nice.
B, concern over the environmental disimpact statement. Or C, religious groups objected to any sort of Thames smell research. Thames smell research.
Yeah, I couldn't tell when I just saw it written down.
Rhymes with stem cell research.
They're all amazing, but I'm going to go with A.
I love neoconstipation.
Yeah, neoconstipation fucking kills.
Okay. Well, Cecil, everybody fooled you.
Okay.
Which means we're
I didn't say which the fucking answer was yet. How do you even know?
deep down.
Okay, well, no, you were right. He got it right.
Exactly. Everybody fooled you. Which means we're going by best puns this episode. So Heath, you win.
Great. Okay, well, I'm going to announce Eli for next week as the essayist.
Boo. Eli's bad at these. Boo. So now I'll toss it over to Sarah for this week's Twitter question.
This week's question is, what would the Great Stink be called if it happened today, other than the Trump administration? Just retweet or Facebook share this episode with your answer for a chance to be next week's winner. Back to you, Eli.
All right. Well, for Heath, Cecil, Noah, and Tom, I'm Eli. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Heath will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can check out my blog at elibosnick.com. That's elibosnick.com. And if you'd like to help keep the show going, you can make a per-episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod. Or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes. Be sure to check out citationpod.com. You know what, Rantleberry? I think I'll have a bath. Are
Are you enjoying yourself, sir?
Yes, I've just found the sponge. Nope, that's human shit again.